Right before the world did a stinky poo-poo so bad it needed to wait 3 Christmases for Granny to buy a new pair of pants, I participated in a game jam where the theme of it was 2020. And looking back on it, obviously I'd have different ideas of what to make, but at the time I landed on a concept based around vision. You control this little blob of trousers, and you collect different pairs of glasses, and with the glasses you can see enemies of that colour and walk through obstacles of that colour and shoot bullets of that colour. The game's not great, you can literally beat it in under a minute, but I really like the concept, so I'm going to reuse that into a new game idea. I'm Chris, I've been making games since 2017. I've never made like a full game, and I've never released anything commercially, but I've been learning game design in school since 2017. So most of what I've done is school projects and the occasional game jam, but I feel like I'm at the stage now where I could make a full game, so that's what this series is going to be. Me making a game from the ground up, and hopefully finishing it at some point. I don't know how long it's going to take. I think maybe we could do a year in review if I make it that far, just to see the progress we've done and then figure out where we go from there. So now with the introduction out of the way, let's get down to business. So far the project's actually come along quite good. So the main thing to talk about here is the changes that have been made to the original game idea. The original was just a puzzle platformer, but since I'm using Unreal now, I feel like making a 2D side scroller would be a waste of resources. So to utilise this new Z axis I've got, I want to make a 3D collectathon, similar to games like Mario 64 or Banjo-Kazooie. I feel like there's a lot of interesting ideas I can do with that, with the mechanics I've got. So now that I've got a basic concept for the game, I need to flesh it out more, while also keeping in mind the scope of the game. I don't want to overscope and then have too much to work on and not be able to ever get this game done. So I'm going to limit what I'm doing from the start, and then later, if I have time to do more stuff, I can. I feel like the level design is going to have to be very tied to the story, so I can't just trundle in with no ideas and expect to make a decent level. So I've mapped out a really basic plot and some world ideas, and from that I'll further explore one of the worlds, figure out enemy types, bosses, rewards, collectibles, how to utilize my mechanic, and then once I finish that world, polished everything and made sure it works fine, I'll move on to the second world. Kind of how when you're going to play this game, you go from world to world. That's how I'm going to be building this. Focus on one, get it done, move on to the next. With that said, I think it's time to move on to showing you what I've actually made so far. Here's a very basic map. This doesn't have any landmarks or anything on it yet, it's just sort of a rough idea for me to understand the shape, so I know where the player can go, where I can have collectibles, and then I'm going to further flesh that out. The first world is a forest village, where the village is actually in the trees. Think of like Endor, where the houses are actually like platforms on the trees with bridges connecting between them. As well as that, I want to have the forest floor, which is going to be a sort of different pace to when you're playing in the village, because the village is more compact and tight bridges and corners. It's going to be more puzzle based up there, but then when you're on the floor, it's more open, there's more exploration to do down there to get to the different areas of the level. The centerpiece of this world is going to be a massive tree, bigger than any of the rest, and it'll have a dungeon inside it, like in Ocarina of Time. This could be where the final boss is hidden. On the subject of the boss, the enemies in this level are all going to be robots that have been designed to deforest the area. So far I've already made 2 of the models. Obviously these could change throughout development, but at the moment I actually really like these. We've got the buzzsaw bot that'll sit on the ground and use its blade to cut down trees from the base. And we've got the laser bot that floats in the air and uses a powerful beam to cut the trees down. The third idea I have will be a mixture of the two, with a blade on the back and a laser on the front. And then the boss will just be a mixture of all of it. You're looking at these pictures and you're probably thinking, why the low poly? Well, keeping with the idea of the game being a collectathon, I wanted to try and match that with the art style, so I'm going to try my hand at making N64 assets for this. I think this is the best way to go, mainly because it will help with the scope. I'm only one man, so I don't expect to make a AAA game by myself. So limiting the art style like this would really help me produce more things quicker. Plus, I genuinely think game art peaked around this era. Like, N64 to GameCube is the best looking a game could ever be. So here I built a basic hub world that all the other levels will be connected to. When you go into each level, obviously later I'll have it like in Mario 64 where it shows you the stars you have in each world. And here you can see the current state of things. The big focus is obviously on the huge tree at the end. But if you explore a bit more, you can see these treetop platforms. I'm thinking later down the line I'll have NPCs for up here, so they can give the player the quest that'll give them the star for that section. At the minute I don't actually have much of the main mechanic in the game. I do have it set up so it's very basic, and here it is working in the forest. I have a lot of ideas for it though, so by next update you'll see much more of it. Here you can just see basically it helps you get to the different level of the tree. You can also see the basic enemies here working away. Obviously later I'll have animations done, but for now having them idly sitting there helps them figure out the scale a bit better. Like at the minute those smaller trees are too small for the blade to go underneath them to hit the actual trunk. Obviously these are placeholder trees, but it just sort of helps figure out what the final design could look like. I've also got a basic death state for both the enemies. If you couldn't guess already, it's the big red button. For the ground enemies you just jump on their head, and for the flying enemies you hit them from below. An idea I had for the flying enemies is that they take 2 hits, and when you hit them from below, that then sends them falling to the ground, where then they'll become ground enemies. And once they're on the ground, then you just deal with them like a regular ground enemy. There's still a lot to figure out for this. I still don't know what the player's going to be collecting. Like I don't know what the stars are going to be yet. But once I get more of the story outlined, I'm sure I'll figure it out. Overall I've got 7 worlds planned. One of them is just a boss stage, but it still would count as a world. As seen in the hub world, there are 7 towers, the one at the end being the final boss stage. I liked the way Mario 64 did progression through each level, where you had to unlock a certain amount of collectibles before you could even open the door for the next stage. So I could think about doing that for this. However, I could also toy around with how Demon Souls does it, where all the worlds are accessible from the start, or I could do a mixture of the two. I could maybe have 2 accessible from the start, and since there's 6 main worlds, there could be 2 easy, 2 medium, and 2 hard. I don't know, I'll figure it out. A thing that you probably noticed is that the player is just the default Unreal mannequin. I'm unsure at the minute if I want to keep the design from the original. I do like the character, but come on now, look at him. I just don't feel like he has enough personality at the minute. I could work on the design, figure out more ideas for it, expand on it a little bit more, or come up with something completely new. Alright, that's my lot. I guess everything I've done for this so far. Hopefully, I keep saying this, hopefully by next update there'll be a lot more to show. But since the project's mainly still in the idea phase, I can only show you the little I've done so far. If you want to see the stuff I've worked on in the past, I'll link my itch.io page in the description. Don't expect too much now, it's a uni project like. But anyway, thanks for listening. If you like the project idea and you want to support me, then maybe consider leaving a like and subscribing. The more people that see this and like it would actually motivate me more to finish the game. So liking the video and commenting to let me know you're there really helps. And if you have any ideas, please let me know. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.